Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Final Fantasy collab that has gone live in North America. So, the Final Fantasy collab is the largest collab in terms of unique available units, and because of the scale and size of it, I've decided to break up the articles for the 6 stars and separately the 5 and 4 stars. So this is going to be a video for the 6-star cards, and for the most part this is a wonderful event because the 6-star cards, or the highest rarity, have a 22.5% chance of being rolled, which is basically 10% plus higher compared to regular collabs or seasonal events. So this is definitely an event worth pursuing because all the 6-star cards have value to a certain extent. Almost all of them are amazing. The 5-star cards, some of them are reasonable. Even some of the 4-star cards are good. But the point of the matter is it's a 22.5% chance to roll a 6-star, and it only costs 5 magic stones per pull. So another important aspect is every single card in the 6-star form has a pixel form and has a crystal or a weapon form. So there's minimum 3 different forms they can assume. And that means they have a very large degree of flexibility, and because of that you can customize them to your basic needs for your monster box. So even if you roll a card who may not be super valuable in their evolved form, maybe their crystal or maybe their pixel form will provide more merit for yourself. All 5-star cards also have a pixel form, and they provide at least 2 VDPs. So 2 void damage penetrations isn't the highest piercing damage you can have available, but for a middle tier, not the highest tier card, it's still a reasonable aspect overall. In terms of the drawbacks, this is a massive rolling pool. There are so many different monsters, and because of that, it's going to be that much harder to actually snipe any one specific card. So you may have to utilize the monster exchange system if that is of interest. Furthermore, it is a relatively top-heavy collab, but that is to be expected. But again, with a 22.5% chance to roll any of these 6-star cards, your chances are at least pretty solid. So this will have a monster exchange system available, so it will be a 4-to-1 ratio because of the 5-star cost. The crystal forms are their weapon assist, so if they have this type of awakening, they will be able to assume a weapon assist form and donate awakenings to the card that they are inherited on top of. So I'm going to basically going through all the 6-star cards and all their various forms and providing my at least thoughts and opinions and recommendations as to what form is best to pursue. So the first card is Lightning. So Lightning is going to become one of the best rainbow leaders we have in North America because she's able to provide 4 times health, 256 times attack, and she also gives you bonus orb movement time and bonus combo counts when you match 4 or more colors. So you're going to be hitting basically, if your average board is 7 to 8 combos, you're going to be hitting 9 to 10 combos. So those 10 combo awakenings that you have on certain cards may become useful all of a sudden because, well, now they actually work. So this is definitely a big draw for Lightning, is that you have the chance to hit very high combo counts. Combo shield should never be an issue. She also gives you 4 times health, so you have incredibly large bulk. She also has double 7 combo with a single God Killer and triple skill boost from her base awakenings. She can also gain a follow-up attack or God Killer depending on what your team needs more. So if you already have follow-up attack covered, you should definitely go for God Killer or L if you don't have any L whatsoever, because it's always nice to have 1 L on your team to unlock orbs or cancel out locked Skyfalls. So she has definitely high personal damage against gods, 3 skill boosts, 4 times attack, 4 times health, and she also has guard break, which has synergy with her leader skill because you are matching rainbow anyways. You can pierce through high defense spawns with very little issue. In terms of drawbacks, her active skill does 10,000 fixed damage, which in all honesty is not that necessary, and it adds 3 turns to her cooldown. If you didn't have this part, it would be a 7-turn cooldown, which would be much better overall because you can inherit over top of it or just charge it up much faster. She has no damage reduction, so any gravity plus hit combo, so for instance Hera Nyx in Arena 5 will be problematic, and rainbow teams tend to have a tough time achieving void damage penetration or just having orb troll in general. Of course, if you use things like How, you don't have to worry about a VDP, but if you're not, it's going to become a little bit problematic. But with that being said, she is definitely one of the strongest rainbow leaders in North America. Her pixel form has 3 skill boosts, which can be important for your team, but the problem is, in my opinion, she just feels like a more of an average VDP card. It's not truly spectacular. Yes, you have 2 VDPs without Super Awakenings, and you can gain a God Killer as well as the other stuff, so it does give her a chance to deal much higher damage against God-type spawns, but again, if she has a powerful evolve form, that's probably better to pursue, and in addition to that, her weapon assist is actually amazingly strong as well. Her weapon assist is basically an upgraded Trojan horse, and it will give you 20% resist to jammer, poison, blind attacks, and a single 80% awakening. And this 80% awakening, while being arguably the worst offensive awakening, gives a 1.5 times attack bonus when above 80% health. So you inherit this on top of your highest damage dealing card, and they suddenly gain a 1.5 times boost when you're high health. This is an inherit you're probably going to want to bring around anyways because you want the resist. If you were using Trojan Horse, in an ideal world, you throw in Lightning's Crystal Charm because it provides you with the bonus damage. So let's say your VDP card needs a little bit more damage, but you still need to have all the resist. Throw Lightning's Crystal Charm on top, you suddenly have an additional 1.5 times damage. Might be enough to pierce through. You may not need to use a supplemental burst, or you can use less orbs overall. Basically, it's just a way to add damage when you're already pursuing resist that you would want to have already. Of course, as the drawback, this is definitely edging on luxury. We can have the farmable Trojan Horse, which provides the same 3 resists, but it doesn't have the sexier bonus attack while above 80%. So in terms of which form to pursue, I would pursue her Evolve form if you want a strong Rainbow leader, if that's a type of playstyle you do enjoy. You have subs for it, definitely something you can pursue. But if that's something that has no interest for you whatsoever, her Crystal or Weapon Assist form is then a very powerful thing to pursue because you actually get the bonus damage while having awakenings you actually want to have. Next is Cloud. And Cloud, in his Evolve form, is able to form a very powerful leader in terms of raw multipliers. 4 times health, 225 times attack, and 2.25 times RCV is pretty amazing overall. But of course there are going to be some restrictions. You must use healer, attacker, or machine types, which does cut down a bit on your sub pool. You also must use an active skill every single turn to really tap into your damage output. And it's that active skill every turn that is going to become problematic. Because at this point in time, we only have Aerith in terms of a light card that fulfills the correct type requirements. You can use Tao Ren, but it is dark and it just provides a little less amazing active skill because it might take away a light orb, I believe, and that could be problematic. But the point of the matter is Aerith is the only on-color one, so it can be difficult for you to build a proper team. Yes, you could use off-color or you could use off-typing, but you won't gain the bonus RCV, and one card will be basically dealing 0 damage. So it's kind of the thing you have to weigh in terms of how strong of a team you can put together. With that being said, if you have multiple Clouds, you make a Cloud system. Basically, his active skill gives you a column of lights and then 1 turn haste with unlocking orbs. So you're basically able to cycle your Cloud actives in order to have an active skill every turn. The problem with the system is you need 4 out of your 6 active skills to fulfill this system requirement, and it's going to mean that you won't have many active skills left over to counteract various mechanics. Although thankfully Cloud is able to gain various awakenings that make him quite powerful. He has double Devil Killer and 7 combo and 2 TPAs. His super awakenings can give him VDP, so it solves the whole need to pierce through things. You can get 7 combos for more consistent damage at high combo count, or a TPA for when you match a 4 connected light. All of the super awakenings are valuable, and it just depends on the type of team you plan on actually running, because his leader skill does not actually have any combo requirement. So in theory, if you use an active skill and 1 combo, you still get the full 225 times, which can make sweeping easier floors much easier. Of course, again, the typing restriction is going to be one of the biggest issues, and it may be a hard team to actually team build, but if you do have the right cards for it, he becomes an incredibly powerful leader. In terms of his Pixel form, his base awakenings are Devil Killer and 2 Void Damage Penetrations. So that is quite valuable because with Super Awakenings you can gain a 3rd VDP, which makes him deal incredibly high amounts of damage and even more spectacular against Devil cards. And it is not tied to combo count. So a lot of leaders are able to max out their attack multipliers with less combo counts or no combo counts. So having a VDP card that does not require combos to deal large amounts of damage becomes valuable. So Pixel Cloud can definitely function incredibly well on something like a Dark Karen team who does not need to hit those giant combos to succeed. You just need to match 5, which the 3x3 box will already achieve. So this is definitely very important. In terms of their active skill, it does still the same column of light herbs and increase combo count by 1. Like I just mentioned, he doesn't need combos to truly succeed, so the +1 combo count may or may not necessarily be needed, so it may become a little bit of a lower impact active skill. And in terms of the leadership potential, it's just too orb hungry. You need to match 6 to 9 light orbs, and in all honesty, if you wanted a leader, just stick with his evolved form. It's much more powerful all around. In terms of his crystal form, it's able to bypass attribute absorb shields for 1 turn and then change water, wood, orbs to light, and then dark to heal orbs. So a pretty powerful active skill in terms of mono light teams. You also gain 3 enhanced light orb awakenings and a single TPA. Unfortunately, attribute absorb is somewhat niche and you provide no resist. For the most part, most teams should be dealing enough damage. Of course, if you do have excessive amounts of resist already on the team, throwing on a weapon assist that provides damage can be helpful. This Cloud's Crystal Charm definitely helps his own team because it just makes one Cloud even more powerful. But again, being able to actually survive mechanics is definitely more important than being able to put out spectacular amounts of damage. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't pursue this unless you have a stupendously high number of Clouds available. So, as mentioned already, if you have a reasonable team for Cloud, I would pursue his Evolved form. But if you have no team whatsoever, his Pixel form is going to enable you to have amazing piercing damage, especially against Devil spawns. Next is Yuna. So Yuna was one of the most powerful subs in the game upon her initial release, but tapered over time because new and sexier things came out, and the Final Fantasy Collab has not been seen for quite some time. Thankfully, she has been completely revitalized to the point where she's amazingly powerful. So they've slightly changed her awakenings, but she now provides the most time extend from any given sub. She's able to give a total of plus 3 seconds of orb movement time, which almost single-handedly solves your movement time issues. Furthermore, she actually has useful awakenings, a useful active, and a powerful leader skill. So she still retains her double 7 combo, but she now can become fully bind immune with super awakenings, or gain follow-up attack or VDP depending on what your team actually needs. So this definitely can be quite powerful. Furthermore, her active skill gives you 2 turns of 50% damage reduction and a single turn of haste. So a pretty decent shield. Basically, that shield in conjunction with any reasonably high effective health team will be able to tank any preemptive in the game. In terms of her leader skill, when you match 4 or more colors, so basically 3 plus heal, so basically any 4 elements. I just copy-pasted the leader skill, but it does trigger off of any 4 elements. So that should be quite doable, and it gives you some flexibility in terms of the active skills you can bring into the dungeon because you don't have to have full rainbow boards. You also gain damage when you scale up to 10 combos, which as well as 2 times health for light cards. So dual Yunas are 4 times health, 400 times attack. So that's an incredibly hard-hitting leader skill, and it also means you can pair with 7x6 cards for more activation consistency. A bigger board means you have more orbs available, which means you can definitely hit the combo count for your maximum multiplier. You should have rainbow activation all the time. You have more than enough time extend to actually achieve that at the same time, and it just makes her a very powerful all-around leader. So basically, in summary, she has amazing movement time, strong offensive capabilities, valuable super awakenings, a useful active, and a powerful leader skill that has wonderful amounts of pairings. Unfortunately, to a certain extent, there is such a thing as too much time extend. Once you hit a certain amount of movement time, you probably don't need any more, and that means 4 out of her 9 awakenings, some of them do go to waste, which is a little unfortunate. And in theory, the 10 combos can be a little problematic on 6x5, but when you think about it, it is possible to just hit 7 or 8 combos. You still hit reasonably high amounts of damage. You have high damage cards. It definitely can still work out. In terms of her Pixel form, I feel that she is still definitely strong, but she's not like spicier compared to something like Pixel Cloud, because Pixel Cloud had 3 VDPs with a Devil Killer. Yuna just assumes 3 VDPs, which is still incredibly strong. You still have 15.625 times attack, but the only thing is, it just doesn't feel as exciting, so to speak, compared to her other possible forms. It's not to say it's a weak Pixel form, it's just that she has other forms that are stronger, and in theory there are better VDP cards out there at the same time. In terms of her weapon assist, her active skill becomes significantly upgraded. It's 5 turns of 50% damage reduction, and you have bonus orb movement time for 5 turns by 1 second. So she's going to solve multiple problems at the same time with this amazing active skill. Furthermore, her awakenings give you a tape resist, which is still relatively rare, a co-op boost, and RCV. So if you are playing co-op a large amount of time, you cannot have super awakenings, which means tape resist may be challenging to acquire. So being able to gain the tape resist and a co-op boost, which gives 50% increased stats to that owning card, can be invaluable, along with this powerful active skill. Of course, it only really has merits in co-op, and you must give up her evolved form, so it is a high opportunity cost, but it is powerful if it is something you actually use on a regular basis. So, which unit to make? I am most inclined to leave Yuna in her evolved form. It's a powerful leader, powerful sub, just all around brings nice things to your monster box, as well as having that massive time extend stick. Of course, the crystal form is valuable if you only play mostly in co-op mode, but of course you are giving up her evolved form. Lastly, her pixel is strong, but again, these other things I feel are just bringing more to the table overall instead of just a powerful VDP card. Next is Sephiroth, who in my opinion is the weakest of all the 6 stars because he just doesn't quite provide much of anything. He's not fulfilling any particular niche. He's not doing anything particularly well. So his active skill in his base or evolved form is 2 turns haste, enhance all orbs, recover all HP, and remove all awoken skill binds. So he's doing a lot of things, but you only really need possibly one of those aspects most of the time, and it is a 13 turn cooldown, so it's going to be quite lengthy. Furthermore, it does become quite redundant with 2 leaders. Double Sephiroths are going to just have one of those active skills not being used to the fullest extent, which means you have to carry this 13 turn active in order to inherit something on top of it. It's a little awkward. In terms of the leader skill, you must use physical, attacker, and devil types, and you have to match 4 more colors. So your rainbow claws with type restrictions, and it just can become a little bit awkward because your damage reduction or your only source of effective health is tied from colors. So if you are orb trolled, you have no defensive multipliers. Yes, he does have a very powerful 441 times, but the thing is, I'd rather be able to survive the dungeon than just do big amounts of damage. In terms of their awakenings, they do have a nice spread of killers, and they can gain more killers, so they can become a very powerful killer stick, but that's kind of all they would be. They'd mostly be a sub in that sense because, again, leaders are a bit redundant. So he does have high personal damage, and yes, he does actually have high RCV, which is a little excessive because the health pool is so small. So I just feel like it's not providing enough of anything overall to truly shine, especially compared to the other cards in this event. Pixel Sephiroth does have double VDP with Machine Killer, and then Super Awakenings can make him an outstanding Machine Killer card. But the thing is, how important is this going to be? Is it going to be a little excessive? And if it's not a machine type or a god type, he's only a double VDP, so a little less universal usage all around. In terms of the leader skill for the pixel form, it has no health, just tons of recovery, which is, in all honesty, a little excessive. And finally, their Crystal Charm is like Cloud's in the sense that it provides a similar spread of awakenings, but the active skill is probably not going to be that helpful for most teams. With that being said, it can have merits on Phenom because Phenom already provides you with tons of resist, and having extra damage can actually be helpful. Furthermore, it changes the top row to darks and creates 3 of each other color and hearts over non-dark orbs. So you're then able to actually have rainbow activation for Phenom and a 6 match of dark for a nice amount of output, so it can be useful for that, but again, it is relatively niche. Next is Cecil. And Cecil has a light and a dark form, but there's a lot of overlap between the colors for the same type. So evolved and light dark Cecil are reasonably similar. They both feature this useful board changer of full heal, light, and dark, so nice for those types of teams, on a 9-turn cooldown. There's no frills or gimmicks associated, and is the main reason why the cooldown is relatively low. The leader's skill is just impractical. 64 times attack, it's just not going to be doing enough damage. Yes, it is 7x6, but... okay, sorry, I should rephrase that. It is a reasonable leader for 7x6. You have 8 times damage, you have 25% damage reduction. It's not bad at all. You do have a 10 combo, but the problem is these 3 dark resists are a little wasteful. TPA's situationally helpful, and you have to match 2+ dark combos, so it can be a little more restrictive in the sense that it is possible not to have dark orbs all the time. Yes, the bigger board does help offset this problem, but it's something to keep in the back of your head that you need to have 2 dark combos. And I just feel like it's just less universally flexible as a 7x6 leader, as well as the fact that we do have very strong 7x6 leaders through Tifa, who is coming up. Next is Light Cecil, and same active skill, still provides a 7x6 board with slightly higher multipliers in all regards, higher damage output, higher RCV, so when you pair with someone else, you still have 3 times RCV. There is possibly a helicopter flying over top, and damage reduction. Of course, you still have to match light plus dark, so that should be activatable almost every time. Obviously, it does restrict the type of board changes you can bring. You can't just bring a mono dark and say a heart, you have to bring obviously a tri-elemental board if you want to have hearts for fall of attack. But of course, Cecil does provide that, which is definitely nice. Light Nay, Valentine's Nay can definitely be workable subs. So it does have that strong merits there, but again, they do have Wasteful Awakenings. 3 auto heals are just not what we really want to have, and it's kind of more confusing because you already have 9 times RCV, so you should be able to full heal every single time. So these auto heals are not really providing. I'd rather take the Dark Resist to at least not get nuked as hard by Hera Nyx. Of course, you can't have everything. Still a reasonably powerful card, but you are still restricted to light cards, which still should have a modest sub pool. Next is Pixel Dark Cecil. You unlock all orbs, change everything to light, dark, and heal. So basically you're upgrading the active skill, but because by throwing in orb unlock, you only add 1 turn cooldown, which is a fair price because you're now guaranteed to not have a messy board of locked orbs. In terms of leader skill, you have to be physical attacker types. You have to match Dark Light. You have tons of healing, but no damage, so not really great. And in terms of their awakenings, they have double VDP with a chance at 7 combo for Super Awakening. This is not special at all, in my opinion. It doesn't really provide that much, and I really wouldn't pursue this card, especially considering it's a top rarity spawn, or top rarity monster. And basically the exact same thing applies to Light Cecil. Same active skill, except you increase, same board changer, I should say, but you get 1 turn combo count, which may or may not be helpful. But again, similar awakening spread, not exactly what we really want to have overall. But Cecil's Crystal Charms are some of the strongest in the game. So the Dark form gives you 1 turn of Attribute Absorb Void. So basically if they're absorbing a certain color, you can cancel it out. And you also provide the nice board of Light, Dark, and Heal. So that is a useful board changer like I've already established. But the Awakenings are full bind immunity and double blind resist. So we want to achieve full blind resist as a general rule of thumb, for most part, because sticky blinds can be problematic. So by actually having an active skill that may be useful combined with resist and full bind immunity can transform a card that was vulnerable to binds into something very powerful. For instance, you inherit this on top of Halloween Cotton, who is normally vulnerable to binds, can change out with Super Awakenings, but now you make her bind immune, and then she can pursue more offensive Super Awakenings for even more explosive damage. You're still fulfilling the whole quest to achieve full resist, so this is why their crystal forms are so powerful. And the same thing applies for the light form. In my opinion, the light form is stronger because it has a longer cooldown, so if you're concerned about the active skill charging up and you're using a team that is not light or dark based, you have a bigger window for not letting it charge up. But if it does charge up, it provides a Fujin style active skill where it cancels out damage absorbed. So if you're facing things like Sopte or Machine Athena, you can now cancel that out with ease while still providing bind immunity and double jammer resist. So again, depending on the type of team composition you run, what resists are more important, light or dark tends to be a very solid choice. I prefer the light one for the longer cooldown and actually having a stronger active skill overall, but again, your personal preference may vary. But regardless, in my opinion, the weapon crystal forms are by far the best to pursue for her. Next is Noctis. And like Cloud, he has spectacularly high amounts of damage against Devil Spawns, but unfortunately he can't gain a VDP, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a drawback, and his leader skill is just only 64 times, which is so little, unfortunately. In terms of the active, it creates 4 Dark Orbs over non-light, and then 1 combo count. So nothing special, unfortunately. But the thing is, killing Devils without a VDP is actually not that great. But his Pixel form is actually quite powerful. You naturally have 3 VDPs, which is incredibly rare. Very few cards naturally come with 3 VDPs. So in co-op mode, you always have these. Furthermore, you can gain a 7 combo Super Awakening, so his damage output becomes incredibly high, which is nice. Their active skill provides a weird type of orb changer. It changes fire, water, and wood into dark. So you're left with 1/6 hearts, 1/6 light, and then 4/6 or 2/3 of dark. So basically guaranteeing you have enough dark orbs for a VDP, and you might be able to actually follow up attack alongside of it while having some smattering of other combos here and there. So definitely provide a lot of value with that active skill if VDPing is your main concern. In terms of the active skill, it has no defensive multipliers, unless I've copy-pasted that wrong, but you are restricted to matching 4 orbs or more. So you can't match 3, so your combo count is going to be problematic. In terms of his crystal form, He provides cloud resist, which is definitely helpful because you definitely need to actually have cloud resist for certain dungeons. And it also provides a bonus 80% attack awakening. So again, like I mentioned with lightning, it's a free damage bonus on top of a card you want to hit harder. So your VDP cards that need to hit harder, you gain bonus damage. You also have cloud to prevent those annoying mechanics from occurring. So it's overall a very powerful weapon assist. In terms of which Noctis to make, his Pixel form offers massive VDP potential, which may be appealing for you, or his weapon assist, which provides cloud and attack well above 80% may be great because you're just transforming a hard-hitting card into something that deals even more damage. Next is Tifa, and Tifa surprised me a little bit because her 7x6 potential is quite strong, despite the fact that it may look a little unusual. So, her active skill in both base and evolved form changes heal orbs to light, so a basic orb changer, and then 3 turns to reduce damage taken by 35% and enhance all light orbs. So it's not too bad. It's an 8-turn cooldown. You get a modest amount of damage reduction. It may be enough to survive when combined with other amounts of effective health, so her base health multiplier and any other pairing you do make. In terms of awakening, she has almost too many light rows, which will make her deal spectacular amounts of damage, but she already is one of the hardest hitting 7x6 leaders. You have 12 times attack already, and 6 times RCV. So just that alone solves all your healing issues, which can be important because if you have RCV debuffs like you do in the future Alt Arena 3, this completely ignores that whole mechanic, which definitely makes your life much easier. So you gain bonus attack and RCV when matching 5 or more connected fire or light orbs, up to 6 times at 7 orbs. So you have options. You don't have to always match light. You don't always have to match fire. You have to match one or the other. And that's a nice amount of flexibility because it is a bigger board. So this gives her lots of wonderful pairings. She can pair with Dark Karen, for instance, who likes to actually match 5 or more orbs. So this has perfect synergy there, which will give you more health and, well, same amount of health, but less RCV, but it just provides you a nice alternative to double Karen, but the damage output is not even that much lower because it's 12 times 15. It's still a relatively high multiplier. You can also pair with Demon Yusuke like the light form, who likes to match blobs of light. So again, another viable pairing, and it can solve some issues in terms of orb troll or orb hungriness. Of course, the only issue is you're going to be relying on light blobs, so it's not the best leader pairing for every leader out there. And the main issue is it may be a little hard to play. Some people don't like to match blobs, especially blobs on 7x6. Time extent may become an issue. It may not. But of course, you just need to tinker around. But it is a very powerful leader if you can pair with someone else. And because it is a 7x6 leader, you don't actually have to pair. You don't actually have to have 2 Tifas. You can have, say, Dark Karen and pair with a friend's Tifa. You could have Light Yusuke, pair with a friend's Tifa. And similar logic can apply to her evolved form. Same active skill, but her lead skill is a little different. You have to match 4 fire and light orbs at the same time. So a little bit more restrictive in my opinion, but less orb hungry at the same time. It does restrict you more in terms of the board changes you can bring. Her base form can use Wedding Zila or Bride Zila with no problems, and it makes it an amazing card. This form cannot use Wedding Zila. You're also restricted in terms of the types of other orb changes you can bring, so that can be a little problematic. But it does provide you with a similar amount of health multiplier, a little less damage, but it may be a little easier to match. Again, pairing with Dark Karen, pairing with Demon Yusuke, whatever you really want can make it work out. The only issue is it does have lots of TPAs, but that's not an issue. The TPAs are helpful because you need to match connected 4, so it does give her high amounts of damage output, and again, it is still a 10 times multiplier. Next is her Pixel form. So her Pixel form does gain 3 VDPs with Super Awakenings, which is definitely strong, but again, I honestly feel that the base form is much more powerful overall. And again, 3 VDPs, while strong, is not necessarily going to be super game changing. Like, the rows are hard to match alongside of it. If you're playing it on a 6x5 board, it's going to be a little problematic. Of course, as a leader, it does have a little easier time and spacing issues for VDP and rows, but again, this is not a form I would generally wish to pursue. In terms of her Crystal Charm, I think it's one of the weakest ones. It changes the top and second row from the top to light orbs, so it guarantees you 12 light orbs or 14 on 7x6, which may be helpful for certain teams, gives you full activation. And you also have 2 times orb movement time, orb movement time shouldn't be that big of an issue, but the problem is the awakenings are not what we want them to be. 2 team health is nice, you add nice amounts of bulk, but I've already mentioned beforehand, we want to have resists. Resists make it so you can survive problematic mechanics. A bit of health will definitely help, but if you can't see the board or there's lots of poisons, it's not going to help you out overall. So which Tifa to make? I would honestly pursue her base form for most cases, but if you have a full friends list of Tifas, you don't necessarily have to make a 7x6 leader. If the pixel form is going to solve more of your problems, that may be something to pursue. But for the most part, her base and evolve forms are much stronger, and I would pursue those the vast majority of the time. The next 6-star is Balthier. So Balthier in his base form is able to have a reasonable multiplier of 256 times. It's pretty high, and 43% damage reduction. But the problem is you have to match 3 or more colors, and you have to match 5 orbs, 1 enhanced. So that's a lot of hoops to jump over. Any one of those would have been a little bit annoying, but both at the same time is problematic because you don't always have enhanced orbs. 5 orb 1 enhanced is one of the weakest leader skill mechanics in my opinion, because unlike match 5s, you have to always have that enhanced orb, and that is going to be problematic because only that color gains bonus damage. So if you match 5 connected dark orbs because you had 1 dark orb there for some reason that was enhanced, most of your team's probably not going to do much damage if they're wood based for the most part. So that is problematic. You're also rainbow based. It's just going to be messy overall. In my opinion, I would not pursue this form because they're just stronger things overall, because yes, his active can remove hazards, but you should have full hazard resist already. Evolve form has the same active skill. Again, it's not that powerful because you should have full hazard resist, and the enhanced orbs falling down are not that reliable. In terms of the leader skill here, you have 225 times attack total and 68.36% damage reduction, which is very high. So this is achieved by matching 3 or more colors, so rainbow activation, it's okay. And then when matching 5 orbs in an L shape. So 5 orbs in an L shape is much easier by comparison because it doesn't have to rely on enhanced orbs being present. So any 5 orbs in an L is going to give you massive amounts of damage reduction. Of course, you still want to match wood Ls because the L matched is the only color that gains the damage bonus. So that can be a little problematic, but again, you have 68.36% damage reduction. You should be able to stall and tank many hits, but the thing is, Balthier, in my opinion, will be somewhat overshadowed by the fact that Wood has so many strong leaders, and they're mostly just purely combo-based, and purely combo-based is much easier to deal with compared to Rainbow and Rainbow with L. And next is Pixel Balthier. So Pixel Balthier has 3 VDP naturally, so that's huge amounts of damage without relying on super awakenings, can be used in co-op. They also have 3 Ls, so if you combine your Ls with the VDP, which is 14 orbs, very orb hungry, but huge amounts of damage output. This can be further supplemented by a super awakening for another L, or a 7 combo if you don't ever plan to make Ls. But the point of the matter is Pixel Balthier becomes a very hard-hitting pixel card, which can definitely solve a lot of your problems. Their active skill also creates an L of wood in 2 separate corners, so it's 10 orbs total. So if you had 4 of the wood orbs somewhere else that weren't going to be overwritten, you could have your VDP and your L at the same time. It can provide massive amounts of damage. And then next is his Crystal Charm. And his Crystal Charm, in my opinion, is disappointing. Yes, an L Awakening is nice, but there's no resist tied to it. Fatalis provides L with Poison and, I think, Blind or Jammer. Like, it provides 40% resist against 2 elements and L. Way stronger by comparison. Having L with Cloud for, I think, is it Roy Mustang? Again, it provides resist, which we want. We don't want a time extend. Like, time extend is nice, but it's truly not needed in my opinion. So which Balthier to make? I would honestly choose the VDP card because it has so much VDP potential. Maybe this, if you're lacking a strong wood leader and you like Rainbow, you could pursue that, but I feel the Pixel is the best choice in most cases. And now we finally come to the last 6-star. So the last 6-star is Aerith. And they are a 1-turn active skill card. And being a 1-turn active skill card is important because it can fulfill the problem with Cloud. It also allows you to inherit any type of active skill you want with relative ease. You're only paying 1 additional turn, so you have the most flexibility possible. And this is quite amazing. And Aerith also has several powerful forms, which makes it possibly a little harder to decide where you want to be. So their leader skill provides you with 4 times attack with 6 or more combos, which should always be doable, and then 3 times attack on a turn a skill is used. So you already have the 1-turn active, so you solve the problem. And having 2 leaders of 1 turn is good because you get the 1-turn active spam, you also get a 1-turn card with an inherit of your choice. And then you also reduce damage taken by 50% when matching 6 or more connected orbs. So the 6 or more combos may be a little jeopardized, which can be a little problematic. But if you are able to match 6 connected orbs, you get the 50% damage reduction, which is the priority. Because that's 75% damage reduction, which is equivalent to 4 times health, 4 times recovery. So your priority should be match 6, any 6. That gives you flexibility there. And then if you get enough combos, you do relatively large amounts of damage. The main drawback is that you only cap out 144 times. This is still enough to sweep most content, but just be aware that your damage output will be a bit lower. Yes, you can gain double 7 combo, but depending on the super awakenings you pursue, you may or may not have the most damage output from your leaders, but you still can definitely use things like Bridezilla, you can use Valentine's Day, you can use basically any high 777 combo card and still work relatively well. And these team HPs do provide quite a sizable amount of bulk, especially with dual leaders. So you have that 75% reduction. With 6 team HPs, you are actually quite a durable team. Now, in terms of the main drawbacks is that you need to use an active skill every turn, which means you do have 1 less active skill for utility to bring around. Usually in this case here, if the Aerith I want to use, I will put a resist weapon assist on top of it, so it provides the resist anyways, which never would cap out. So it's still worth mentioning that using active skill every turn does take away from some potential flexibility when team building. But the thing is, their other forms are actually quite powerful. Not necessarily the Pixel form. The Pixel form is still pretty strong. They have double VDP and Dragon Killers, so when you're against a Dragon spawn, huge amounts of damage. But not against non-Dragon spawns, it's not going to be as amazing. This is not to say it's a bad card. It's just going to be a little less flexible compared to triple VDP. But with that being said, you can gain a 7 combo, so now you have a relatively high consistent damage when you're hitting those 7 combos, so it can make it quite strong. In terms of the leader skill, it has a similar damage reduction component as Edward when you're above 50% health, but you have to match 6 or more connected light, which makes it orb hungry and going to be inconsistent, so you're going to have a bit of an issue when you don't actually activate your damage multiplier. But the problem is with Aerith, not problem, it's a good thing, is that their weapon assist is incredibly strong. So, like I mentioned before, you want to try and achieve 100% resistance against the various types of mechanics. And their weapon assist provides you a 40% blind and 40% poison. Incredibly powerful, because now, with Aether's weapon assist and a single 30% weapon from Monster Hunter, you have 100% resist against either blind or poison with 40% of the other. The other 30% will cover 100% resist against 2 types with only 3 cards being used. That's very good value. Like, you will save yourself lots of active skill slots if you're able to utilize these types of weapon assists, because when you think about it, you only need 3 to achieve 100% resist against 2 types of mechanics. Incredibly powerful just for that part alone. And the active skill is actually quite strong as well. You get a full rainbow board, which may or may not be helpful, but you remove all bind and awoken skill binds. So it's a full bind and awoken bind clear with a rainbow board changer, which might be helpful, but you have 40% resistance against blind and poison. So this is a weapon assist you want to make in many cases. And it makes a tough decision because this weapon assist is so powerful, but their base form or their evolved form may be what you really need for your cloud teams or any other team that wants to have these one-turn active skill clauses. So the decision of what to make comes down to what you feel you need most for your monster box. If you have a cloud team and you love your cloud so much, making the evolve form or even the base form for a follow-up attack and L's can be invaluable for your cloud team. But if you don't need this one-turn active skill, their weapon assist is amazingly powerful. So, in conclusion, the Final Fantasy collab is jam-packed with so many cards. This was just the 6 stars, and there are so many more cards to talk about, which I will do so in a subsequent follow-up video. So, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below. Do you think it's worth rolling? And if so, which cards do you hope to acquire? Hopefully you'll have a Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.